M. Victor Anthony Raj. He has pursued his bachelor's, master's, and MPhil in physics. He then went on to pursue his PhD in physics at the University of Madras as well. He then went on to work as a lecturer at Tiruvalluvar Arts and Science College and Idya Engineering College for Women. Since the year 2006, he works as the lecturer and assistant professor at Loyola College, Chennai. With regard to research, he has published several papers in international journals, namely Radio Wave Propagation over Salem, Linear and Non-Linear Optical Properties of Pure and Doped Selenium Malate Single Crystals, and many more. He has also attended several conferences and seminars, namely International Conference on Materials Science and Technology, National Conference on Higher Education at Crossroads held at Loyola College, National Seminar on Crystal Growth 12 held at VIT University, and many more.
Welcome to DTH channel, lecture 10 of Astronomy and Astrophysics. This lecture is about comets, a fascinating body in our night sky. Many wonders about this celestial object. This celestial object is not regular to our view. It comes very rare. So we are going to discuss about this comet in this lecture. I am going to organize this lecture as introduction, from where these comets come, how these comets get their names, some of the famous comets, then summary of the discussion. This is how I am going to order this lecture. Comets are basically dusty snowballs which orbit the sun. They are made of ices such as water, carbon dioxide, ammonia and methane mixed with dust. You know, stars form energy by nuclear fusion reaction. Here, comets are dusty snowballs which orbits the sun. These dusty snowballs would have came into existence after the explosion of the Big Bang. The whole universe itself came into existence after the explosion of Big Bang. This explosion is the reason for the existence of our solar system. Sun is the nearest star. Apart from our solar system, planets, many other objects are there in this universe. Among these objects, this comet is also one of the objects. This water, carbon dioxide, ammonia, methane, all these elements of comets came from the time when the solar system was formed. It was believed that 13.5 billion years ago, this Big Bang explosion have happened. Our universe is 4.9 billion years away, or our solar system is 4.9 billion years of age. Comets have also the same age. These comets have an icy center. This icy center is called nucleus of the comets. This nucleus is surrounded by a large cloud of gas and dust. This large cloud of gas and dust is called coma. Due to the solar wind, this coma gets dispersed and we get a tail-like thing in the appearance of the comet. The coma is created as the ice in the nucleus is warmed by the sun and vaporizes when it moves nearer to the sun. Comets can develop two tails as they travel closer to the sun. One tail is a straight gas tail and the other one is a curved dust tail. The straight gas tail is created by solar wind, pushing gas away from the comet's coma and pointing straight back from the sun. The next curved dust tail in the coma is not affected by magnetic fields but is vaporized by the sun's heat. We know the surface of the sun is around 6000 Kelvin. This sun's heat vaporizes the dust in the coma and forms a curved tail which follows the comet's orbit. We know the comets are celestial objects which orbits around our sun. So, the current number of known comets is 3637. This comet research has got its momentum only after the 19th century. So, within this period of time, 3637 comets were enumerated by the astronomers. Now, let us learn from where these comets come from. As theorized by astronomer Gerard Cuvier in 1951, Cuvier belt is there in our solar system. A particular region of the space is named after this Gerard Cuvier. This man in 1951 theorized a disk-like belt of icy bodies exist beyond Neptune, where a population of dark comets orbit the Sun, governance of Pluto. These icy objects, occasionally pushed by gravity into orbits, bringing them closer to the Sun, become the so-called short-period comets. There are 4 classifications are there for these comets. Here the so-called short-period comets are brought by the gravity of the objects, dark objects present in the realm of Pluto. Taking less than 200 years to orbit the Sun, in many cases their appearance is predictable because they have passed by before. So, these short period comets would have passed our Earth some few years ago, so that it is called as short period comets. Less predictable comets are long period comets. Many of these long period comets arrive from a region called Oort cloud in our space. Oort cloud, which is about 100,000 astronomical units away from the Sun. We know 1 astronomical unit is the average distance between the Sun and the Earth. This less predictable long period comets would have came from Oort cloud, which is about 100,000 astronomical units away from Sun. These Oort cloud comets can take as long as 30 million years to complete one trip around the Sun. Short period comets will take just 200 years to orbit around the Sun, but this long period comets takes 30 million years to complete one trip around the Sun. This picture shows a comet which approaches the Earth when it moves in our solar system. It is photographed by the NASA astronomers. This is how comets came, and it is researched by the astronomers and researchers in the field of astronomy. How comets get their names? That's another question need to be answered to understand the comet. Comet naming can be complicated. The comets are generally named for their discoverer, either a person or a spacecraft which discovered the comet. International Astronomical Union guidelines are there to define a comet. This guideline was developed only in the last century to boost the research about comet, finding about comets. For example, comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 was so named because it was the 9th short period comet discovered by Eugene and Carolyn Shoemaker and David Levy. So, because of the discoverer's name, that short period comet, the 9th short periodic comet got the name Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet. Then based on the spacecraft, also comets are named. Mostly comets name will end with linear, SOHO or Weiss, because these spacecrafts might have discovered the comets, so that the comets have got the names linear, SOHO or Weiss. This is a comet Shoemaker-Levy 3. NASA Spitzer Space Telescope captured this Shoemaker-Levy comet. This is a Jupiter family comet. This Jupiter family comet impacted the Jupiter, so we can see a red spot and many impact on the surface of the Jupiter. That's due to the impact of Shoemaker comet. Now let's come to the types of comet. So far you learnt how the comet got its name and from where the comets came. So all these questions are answered. Coming to the types of comet, it's an ongoing process. Still astronomers have not concluded the classification of types of comets. Comets can be distinguished by their orbits: short period comet, long period comet. The orbit periods will vary widely. A comet can be either a long period comet or short period comet, depending on whether its orbit is shorter than 200 years or larger than 200 years. The long period comets are no paths that take them out past the solar system's planet before they return. Single apparition comets are thought to be comets that are not bound to the sun and can travel out of the solar system. So it deviates the definition of the comet. It is assumed that comets are icy ball which orbits our sun, but the single apparition comets deviates from the definition. So this is how different comets are classified. The next type of comet is dead comets, such as the recent and incorrectly named spooky asteroid or comets whose gases have burned up. These dead comets have no tails. The next type of comet is exocomets. These exocomets are comets that exist outside of our solar system. Scientists have identified several types of several exocomets which orbiting the star Beta Pictorius. Then sun grazing comets are often ill-fated comets that suffer from an Lacrosse problem. These sun grazing comets are classified as comets that travel within 850,000 miles of the sun, and some of these comets burns up entirely. So it will not remain, it will not come back. This is how these sun grazing comets are defined and categorized. So in the ongoing process of classification of comets, short period comets, long period comets, single apparition comets, then dead comets, exocomets, sun grazing comets are the 5 classification of comets. These are all some of the activity and size of the nucleus of comet. We know comets have 2 parts, the nucleus and the coma. Here in 25th September 95, you got a photo by Hubble Space Telescope. Then 23 October 95, a comet. Then 96, during the year 1996, 7th April, you got a picture like this. So varying intensity of comets are pictured by the Hubble Space Telescope. So like that, astronomers are interested in finding most thing about comets. Some of the famous comets. Halley comet is likely the most famous comet in this world, even depicted in the Bayeux tapestry that chronicled the Battle of Hastings of 1066. During the year 1066 itself, this Halley's comet is known to the human civilization. This Halley's comet becomes visible to the naked eye after every 76 years when it's near the sun. So humankind can see this Halley comet in their lifetime. When Halley comet zoomed near Earth in 1986, 5 spacecraft flew past it and gathered unprecedented details, coming close enough to study its nucleus, which is normally concealed by the comet's coma. The roughly potato-shaped 9-mile long comet contains equal parts of ice and dust, with some 80% of the ice is made up of water and 15% of it consisting of frozen carbon monoxide. This is how the famous comet, Halley's comet, is categorized, is analyzed by the 5 spacecraft flew past it when it zoomed near the Earth in 1986. Researchers believe that other comets are chemically similar to this Halley's comet. The nucleus of Halley's comet was unexpectedly extremely dark black. Its surface, and perhaps those of most others, is apparently covered with a black crust of dust over most of the ice, and it only releases gases when holes in this crust expose ice to the sun. The next comet is Shoemaker-Levy 9, which collided spectacularly with Jupiter in 1994, with the giant planet's gravitational pull ripping the comet apart for at least 21 visible impacts. Another spectacular astronomical event took place in the year 1994 based on the comet. So, Halley's comet, Shoemaker comet, this is the recent picture of comet. In 2020, April 20, this picture was taken. In 23 April 2020, this picture is taken. So, in these two pictures, you can see the spreading of the tail of the comet. So, comet at last will be no longer valid. That's the finding from these two photographs. NASA Hubble Space Telescope has provided astronomers with the sharpest view at the breakup of comet. The tail of the comet is breaking up, you can see in this figure. The next one is the largest collision created a fireball that rose about 1,800 miles above the Jovian cloud tops, as well as a giant dark spot more than 7,460 miles across, about the size of the Earth, and was estimated to have exploded with a force of 6,000 gigatons of TNT. So, an explosive material used in explosion. So, 600 gigatons of TNT is exploded means how much amount of energy and light will come out. That much amount of energy and light came out during this largest collision about 1,800 miles above the Jovian cloud. A recent highly visible comet was Halley-Bopp, which came within 122 million miles of Earth in 1997. So, this is another important event in Earth's astronomy. Its unusually large nucleus gave off a great deal of dust and gas, estimated at roughly 18 to 25 miles across, appeared bright to the naked eye. So, another important or famous comet is this Halley-Bopp. The next one is Ison. This Ison comet gave a spectacular show in 2013. However, sun graces did not survive its close encounter with the sun and was destroyed in December. This Ison was destroyed in December. Like that, here I have listed some 4 famous comets. Now we will be getting into the details of these 4 famous comets. Halley's comet. It's arguably the most famous comet. It's a periodic comet and returns to Earth's vicinity about every 75 years, making it possible for a human to see it twice in his or her lifetime. So, a human can see a Halley's comet twice in his lifetime. The last time it was here was in 1986, and it is projected to return to Earth in 2061. This Halley's comet is named after English astronomer Edmund Halley, who examined reports of a comet approaching Earth in 1531, 1607 and 1682. Edmund Halley concluded that these three comets were actually the same comet returning over and over again, and predicted the comet would come again in 1758. Halley did not live to see the comet's return, but his discovery led to the comet being named after him. Astronomer Edmund Halley's calculations showed that at least some comets orbit the Sun. Further, the first Halley's comet of the space age in 1986 saw several spacecraft approach its vicinity to sample its composition. High-powered telescopes are focused towards Halley's comet for observe the comet. So, such a popular comet, this Halley's comet is. While the comet cannot be studied up close for many decades, scientists continue to perform comet science in the solar system, looking at other small bodies that can be compared to Halley. A notable example was Rosetta probe, which looked at comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko between 2014 and 2016, and concluded that comet has a different kind of water than Earth's water. So, this water becomes ice in the nucleus of the comet. We know comet has two major parts, nucleus and coma. Then tail of the comet is due to the leakage of gas after vaporization. Such a powerful object this comet is. Halley's comet is most popular among the comets known to the humankind. The next popular comet is Halley-Bopp. Halley-Bopp was an unusually bright comet that flew by Earth, reaching its closest approach to the planet in 1997. Halley's comet approached Earth in 1986. This Halley-Bopp approached Earth in 1997. This Halley-Bopp was most spectacular in the northern hemisphere and visible to the naked eye for about 18 months. Halley-Bopp was probably one of the most viewed comets in history. It provided quite the sky show, being 1,000 times brighter than Halley's comet at the time of its discovery. Its twin blue and white tails were clearly visible even from light polluted areas such as Chicago. Halley-Bopp is the next popular comet in the humankind. This Halley-Bopp created a tragedy also in humankind. There were a tragic footnote to the appearance of Halley-Bopp. About 40 people who were part of the Heaven's Gate cult in San Diego committed mass suicide as the comet came close to Earth. A sad news to the Earth. In late March 1997, Applewhite, who is the head of this Heaven's Gate, and 38 followers of Applewhite drank a lethal cocktail of phenobarbital and vodka and laid down to die, convinced that they would leave their physical bodies, enter the alien spacecraft they believed was behind Halley-Bopp, and pass through Heaven's Gate in a higher existence. This is the myth of Applewhite, the head of Heaven's Gate. The bodies of 21 women and 18 men were found lying in bunk beds in a mansion in suburban San Diego, California. So, this Halley-Bopp appearance to Earth created such a tragic event in Earth. This is that Halley-Bopp in 2007, March 31. It was photographed by NASA people. This is the great comet of 1997 after Halley's comet. This is the picture of Heaven's Gate suicide people, religious group mass suicide. They were all wearing new cloths and had a lethal cocktail to end their life, assuming that to board on an alien spacecraft which is coming behind this Halley-Bopp comet. That's the mystery of, that's the tragedy of Halley-Bopp. They wore matching clothes and new sneakers. According to material the group posted on its internet site, the timing of the suicides were probably related to the arrival of the Halley-Bopp comet, which members seem to regard as a comic emissary beckoning them to another world. The New York Times reported in March 1997. The next popular comet is Ison. Comet Ison was a sun-grazing comet. We have seen some 5 types of comet: long orbit, long period comet, short period comet, then this sun-grazing comet, and other 2 types of comet we have seen. This Ison comes under the sun-grazing comet that was expected to put on a spectacular show in Earth's sky in late 2013, a recent one. After rounding the sun's far side on November 28, the comet faded, torn apart by the star's immense gravity. So, inside the comet itself, gravitational force is very strong. The comet's tail torn apart, as recently seen by astronomers, that comet Atlas is no more valid. The tail of comet is keep on splitting. So, for this Ison that is applied in 2013 itself. Ison's behavior shortly after the close pass confused astronomers because it appeared brighter than what one would expect of a comet that had just broken up. It was later determined that increased activity was a trick of orbital dynamics. So, a comet revolves around sun. Some of the comets will move away from the sun. The sun-grazing comet will move away from the sun. The increased activity was a trick of orbital dynamics in this comet. In recent years, this Ison has been cited as an example of challenges of comet prediction. It is hard to say how bright a comet will be or when they will appear because their paths and behavior are still poorly understood by the astronomers. So, Ison's unusually bright appearance before breaking up has some astronomers curious about its origin. We have seen that comets originate from the dust and gases formed by the explosion of Big Bang. So, Ison's origin is also most souted by the astronomers because of its unusual bright appearance before breaking up. One group of astronomers have speculated that Ison may have originated from outside of our solar system, making it similar to Oumuamua, an object that sped nearby our sun in 2017. So, among the most popular comet, Ison is placed in the 3rd place. The first one is Halley's comet. Second one is Halley-Bopp. A tragic comet. Then the third one is Ison. This is how the famous comets are researched by the astronomers. This is the picture of comet Ison imaged by NASA Space Observatory, Comet Observatory Group. So, comets are the fascinating object. People are more fond about its origin and its name. So far, around 3,000 comets are listed by the astronomers. So, in this lecture, we learned the basic things about comets. Comets are basically dusty snowballs which orbits the sun. Comets can develop two tails as they travel closer to the sun, a straight gas tail and a curved dust tail. The gas tail is created by the solar wind, pushing gas away from the comet's coma and pointing straight back from the sun. As theorized by the astronomer Gerard Cuvier in 1951, a disk-like belt of icy bodies exists beyond Neptune, where a population of dark comets orbit the Sun in the realm of Pluto. Comets are generally named for their discoverer, either a person or a spacecraft. A comet can be either a long period comet or a short period comet, dead comets, exocomets, and sun grazing comets. These are the 5 categories of comets we have learned in this lecture. Halley's comet is the most famous comet in the world, even depicted in the year 1066. Then most tragic comet is Halley-Bopp, where 40 people have died, suicided for its arrival. Comet Ison gave a spectacular show in 2013. So comets are popular and most fascinating objects in our extraterrestrial life. You can learn more things about comets in these websites. So go through these websites, you will learn more things about comets. Thank you.